Years after retiring from professional football, David Beckham keeps making headlines. This year, he received much criticism after being named one of the ambassadors of the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar. Qatar has been criticised for its poor human rights records, especially towards migrant workers and the LGBT community. Most of the public saw his ambassadorship as a huge disappointment, especially after being known as an LGBT ally. Stay tuned as we'll take a look back at those times David Beckham was seen to be an LGBT ally. Number 10. David Beckham in a sarong. Perhaps the first thing David Beckham did to make people see him as a supporter of the LGBT community was wearing a long black skirt. This happened 24 years ago at the peak of his career when he was dominating the midfield of the Premier League. While clothes don't necessarily equate to a person's sexuality or orientation, this move by the former player was enough to defy societal expectations at the time. This was even more special when you remember how things were back then for the gay community. In a time when cross-dressing was still seen as taboo for much of the world, David Beckham went straight for it and wore a sarong, which is basically a male skirt. Beckham's status as a football player even added more magic to the skirt because football was regarded as a masculine sport. Wearing a sarong was certainly something out of the ordinary for players, especially one with Beckham's popularity. But for him, it didn't seem so out of character and proceeded to break everybody's expectations. Number 9. Pink nails. David Beckham didn't stop at wearing skirts. A few years later, in 2002, Beck's raised eyebrows once again. This time, it wasn't through clothes. Instead, the former Manchester United star decided to paint his nails pink. Yep, he didn't try to tone it down by wearing something more edgy and dark. In case anyone missed it, he styled a new colour for his nails in a GQ magazine. For this shoot, he picked a black colour which was a perfect one to go with the rest of the attire and vibe of the whole thing. At this point, it was clear that Beckham was establishing a unique path for himself as both a brand and a football player. He wasn't just revolutionising English football, he was starting another revolution outside the pitch as well. Number 8. Sir Elton John as godfather to his children. The next Beckham gesture a lot of people appreciated was when he made Elton John, a prominent member of the gay community, the godfather to his two sons. Yes, Sir Elton John is the godfather of David's two children, Brooklyn and Romeo Beckham. These two youngsters are looking to be following Elton and David's steps as both are doing their own thing in carving a path of their own. Elton and David go all the way back, having been friends for over 27 years already. Their friendship is another proof of how accepting the player is when it comes to people's identity and sexual orientation. Number 7. Front cover for a gay magazine. In 2002, Beckham became the first heterosexual footballer to appear on the front cover of a gay publication when his face was splashed across the cover of Attitude magazine. This was a very bold move since Beckham was just handed the captain's armband of the England national football team. This feature with Beckham quickly resulted in many thousands of sales for the magazine. In fact, Attitude's very own writer Madeline Morley cited this collaboration to be the most iconic one of her career. She said, "He is an icon of modern masculinity, and so it was a real moment, a signal to the country that it was okay to be okay with gay people." Number 6. Beck speaks up about his gay icon tag. After showing clear support for the community, it was clear that it was time for him to say something more definite. His actions were already loud enough, but it would be nice to have some words to back them up too. Thankfully, Beckham thought of the same thing. In an interview, the former football player shared with the world how proud he was to be considered a gay icon. He said, "I feel honoured to be a gay icon." The then 32-year-old told the Lines of Inquiry radio show that he'd earned that tag because "I like to look after myself. I like to look smart and presentable most of the time." He added, "Even when I was a little kid, I was given the option when I was a page boy once of either wearing a suit or wearing knickerbockers and long socks and ballet shoes. And I chose the ballet shoes and knickerbockers." While his father may have felt a little off about it, the young Beckham still enjoyed the ballet look. Number 5. Voted gay icon. A OnePoll.com survey of 5,000 gay men and lesbians in 2009 named its top 10 list of male celebrity gay icons. Only one of these icons was not gay. You guessed it, David Beckham. This was proof of how much the LGBT community appreciated his support and brave deviation from society's expectations. A couple of years later, in 2018, at the British LGBT Awards, Beckham was named a top ally once again. Faced with tribal football fans, a vicious sports press, and a baying bevy of showbiz journalists, David Beckham has never shied away from his status as a gay icon, the ceremony's organisers said at the time. They added, "He clearly allows his children to express themselves. Brooklyn has been spotted in a pride top, and is a top sporting gent in general. Number 4. Celebrating the gay pride. Like much of the LGBT community, David Beckham also paid tribute during the gay pride in 2014 by posting a picture of the rainbow flag on his Facebook page. He captioned his post, "Great to see people celebrating gay pride around the world this weekend." This post was the first social media tribute he did, showing how much of an ally he is to the LGBT people. Looking at his track record, you can already tell it wasn't going to be the last one. Number 3. Wears makeup. So we already understand that David Beckham isn't one to play it safe. The former England captain has experimented pretty much with everything. Mohawks, man buns, and now eye makeup. In 2019, Beckham was on the cover of Love's January 2019 issue, where he's shown wearing eyeliner and vibrant teal eyeshadow. In the Beckham household, it's not just Victoria Beckham who enjoys makeup and skincare. As it turns out, the man of the house, David, is also a fan of his wife's collection of beauty products. In an interview with Elle in 2016, Victoria shared how her husband likes to steal her beauty products. The fashion icon doesn't seem to mind though, and is very supportive of David's fascination with the products. She added, "He looks so beautiful." Number 2. Pride shirt. In June 2020, Bex wore a pride shirt to honour the annual celebration. The shirt was made by his iconic wife, Victoria Beckham, with the words, "Listen without prejudice." This phrase was a perfect tribute to Pride Month, as it also came with the added touch of having rainbow font. Made by his wife, the shirt was even extra special because it also showed how much the occasion and message meant to his wife. This was a glimpse of how they raise their kids in an open and accepting home. To this day, we see this reflected in how their growing kids style and express themselves. Number 1. Statement about gay footballers. The most recent thing he said in support of the LGBT community was in May 2022 in a quick interview with Evening Standard. He shared, "I played for 22 years. I saw a lot of racism and homophobia and do think it has changed, but there's still a lot of work to be done." He opened up about how football came with a lot of discrimination back then, specifically homophobia and racism, but he also talked about how much it's improved when it comes to acceptance and respect. A lot has changed throughout the years, but there's still more that needs to be done. Beckham shared that coming out shouldn't be a hard thing to do. This came after reflecting on Jake Daniel coming out as gay. Playing for EFL's Blackpool, Jake became the UK's first male professional footballer to come out publicly as gay since Justin Fashanu. The former England captain thought it was weird that his coming out was such a big deal because he expects to see many gay people involved in the sport like in any other industry. Which of these Beckham moments did you find the most interesting? Do you still think that David Beckham remains to be one of the biggest allies of the LGBT community? Let us know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.